Welcome back. Crypto could play a big role in this year's election, with the voting bloc growing on both sides of the aisle. A new poll conducted by the Digital Chamber in partnership with X and Y finds 1 in 7 likely voters say crypto is a key issue for the 2024 election. Joining us now is the Digital Chamber founder and CEO, Perianne Boring. Perianne, great to see you.
Great to be here, Marie.
Thank you so much for being here. Tell us about the crypto voting bloc and what you've learned.
I would love to introduce America to the crypto voter bloc, because I think most people have underestimated the power of crypto at the polls. We're releasing our national survey today, and we found that 1 in 7 active voters, not registered voters, these are the people most likely to show up to the polls, are saying that crypto will play a significant influence in who they are going to vote for at the polls, both for the president as well as for congressional seats.
I know a couple of months ago, President Trump spoke at the big crypto conference over the weekend. Do those people who are part of the people that you've surveyed, are they looking at policy changes from a President Trump or policy changes from a potential President Kamala Harris?
To be honest, I think the bar is so low at this point for what the industry feels like they need from its government. The past 4 years, we have set the industry back at least a decade here in the United States. We have had an extremely aggressive regulation by enforcement regime. You've had really a witch hunt, and it has driven crypto companies investors and innovators outside of the United States. Businesses need regulatory clarity, they need regulatory certainty, and it really shouldn't be that difficult. Donald Trump has made a number of very comprehensive campaign promises to create a regulatory framework so the United States can lead in this space. We really have not seen anything meaningful from the Harris campaign, despite repeated pleas for that.
Mark, how do you see it?
Well, I mean, what we have seen from the Biden-Harris administration is that the bill that you were behind, the most crypto-friendly bill ever, they just vetoed, right? And now all of a sudden she's going to sidestep and pretend like maybe she's a fan of crypto. Look, one of the things that I mentioned during the break here, I don't know if this is true or not, but just to kind of put in perspective the potential size of this crypto voting bloc, somebody made a comment, there are more people in the U.S. that own crypto than dogs. And if that is true,
wow,
that's a pretty remarkable amount of people.
I'm having a hard time believing that.
The last comprehensive study was done in January of this year by Coinbase, and they said 52 million Americans own cryptocurrency today. And that was released in January. And of course, the spot Bitcoin ETFs launched a couple weeks after that. And we've had record inflows, billions of dollars of inflows into the ETF since. So I actually think that's a conservative measure.
Wow. Ooh. So you're right, Mark.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
That is.
Can you help us with the profile just real quick? Who's the profile? Who's buying crypto? Are they more conservative, more liberal? Do they trust government? Do they distrust government? What's the profile?
This is a nonpartisan thing, and that's really what we showed in our study, is that both Republicans and Democrats actually surveyed very, very similarly. So people all across the aisle are investors in cryptocurrency. I do think it is younger generations. 60% of crypto owners are Gen Z and millennials. And interestingly, 4 out of 10 Black Americans are very pro-crypto, and crypto will be a determining factor at the polls for Black Americans.
Well, that poll found that voters believe former President Trump has a more supportive crypto stance than Vice President Harris. He's leading by 8 points. You just mentioned it. Last month, he stopped by at the crypto bar Pubkey in New York City. He used Bitcoin to pay for his burgers, and his family recently launched their own crypto project. The Trump campaign received $5 million in crypto donations during the third quarter of fundraising. And in August, I sat down with Trump at his club in Bedminster, New Jersey. Here's what he said about crypto.
You have to understand about crypto. Crypto is a very interesting thing, very high level in certain ways, intellectually very high level. But if we don't do it, China's going to do it. So we might as well be at the forefront. And there are people in crypto that are very, very smart people who do love our country, and they think it's good. Who knows? Maybe we'll pay off our $35 trillion, hand them a little crypto check, right? We'll hand them a little Bitcoin and wipe out our $35 trillion.
But how do you want it to be more prominent in America? How will that work?
Oh, it's going to work easily. It's already prominent. It's moving along. It's very loosely regulated. That's one of the reasons it's moving along. But it is a different form of a currency, and it's going to end up benefiting the country already. I mean, if you look at the market, It's bigger than many countries.
So, Perian, do you have clarity on what Trump wants to do with crypto and how he would use that in this economy?
Well, he's issued a number of he has a comprehensive policy proposal that he outlined during the Bitcoin conference earlier this year. Getting regulatory reform is really the most important because, again, the industry and the markets need regulatory clarity. Something new that he's recently said in your interview, your exclusive interview with him, he said maybe we'll pay off the $35 trillion in debt with cryptocurrency. He has not elaborated on what he means by that, but what I think it means is as you know, Bobby Kennedy has endorsed his campaign and teamed up with President Trump. Bobby Kennedy outlined a plan to buy 4 million Bitcoin for the U.S. government to buy 4 million U.S. Bitcoin and use that to pay off the debt.
Wow.
And now Trump is it sounds like he's taking on Kennedy's proposal, which is why I believe the better Trump does in the polls and in the prediction markets, the more Bitcoin is soaring. And we're seeing that in the market significantly this week.
It's up to 66 and change again. Analysts at Bernstein Research say that Bitcoin is being driven by improving odds of a Trump election win. Crypto stocks, he said, forecasting a Trump victory. We were just looking at Polymarket, and it looks like the predictions have Trump in the lead. But what do you want to see in terms of the regulatory framework? I mean, what is it that's giving you pause in terms of the clarity?
Well, the issue businesses have in operating regulated crypto companies here in the United States is that fear of enforcement, particularly from Gary Gensler's Securities and Exchange Commission. We do not have regulatory clarity on which digital assets are under the SEC's jurisdiction, so companies have to guess. And if you guess wrong, they come after you with the full force of the United States government and the Department of Justice, which only very, very few companies have the funding to go up against lawsuits like that. And the most important crypto companies in the United States are all in the middle of very, very complex litigation against the Securities and Exchange Commission. I think with some very clear statutory definitions, which is what Congress is currently working on to clarify where the SEC's jurisdiction begins and ends, where the CFTC's jurisdiction begins and ends, how stable coins, which parameters they fit within the regulatory framework, and clarifying taxes would do a world of differences for businesses that want to build here in the United States.
Mark, this is one of the biggest issues that's stopping businesses from investing, a lack of clarity or too much regulation, or, by the way, investigations. We were talking yesterday on this program about this op-ed in the Journal. Everyone is under investigation. And strategist Dan Clifton listed 41 companies with a wide range of business and market caps that they have in common. And what they have in common is that the Justice Department is reportedly investigating them. That puts a freeze, whether it's a lack of clarity on crypto or investigations up the gazoo. This puts a freeze on business
And Dan
activity.
Clifton also, one of the other pieces of his research report is he mentioned that over 40% of the companies in the S&P 500 are under investigation by the DOJ, which is absolutely insane to really put that in perspective. And that is one of the reasons that big tech specifically, while that has normally performed well when the Democrat nominee is ahead, it's now become a Trump trade because Trump is viewed as anti-DOJ, and they're all under investigation, which is interesting.
He very famously said, cutting regulation is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So there you go. Perian, great to have you this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Perian Boring there. Stay with us. We'll be right back.